Ladies and gentlemen, hit subscribe to this channel right now. In a couple of seconds, you'll hear Jonathan Turley give some legal analysis pertaining to John Bolton and indictments. I believe that he's practically already indicted. He almost certainly will be indicted because a judge, Royce Lamberth, federal judge 5 years ago, already stated, quote, the damage is done. And if you read the memorandum order, while Bolton's unilateral conduct raises grave national security concerns, the government has not established that an injunction is an appropriate remedy. The judge already stated that Bolton possibly summarizing and emailing classified data and having that classified data intercepted by foreign adversaries was a grave national security concern. He goes on to talk, this is the actual memorandum. He goes on to say a whole bunch of things. And he goes on, okay, so Bolton agreed here. Violation could result in assigning to the United States government all royalties, remunerations, and emoluments that have resulted, will result or may result from any disclosure, publication, or revelation of classified information not consistent with the terms. Bolton agreed to abide by restrictions in SF 312 unless and until he is released in writing and authorized by an authorized representative of the United States government, which I don't believe he was. And there's a whole bunch of things. This is, you can get the memorandum from the judge right here in the Politico article. Defendant Bolton has gambled with national security of the United States. He has exposed his country to harm and himself to civil and potential criminal liability. This is a Politico article. Links to the judge's memorandum. And right here. So hit subscribe to this channel right now. We'll read it again. This was Bolton's bet. If he is right and the book does not contain classified information, he keeps the upside mentioned above. If he is wrong, he stands to lose profits from the book deal, exposes himself to criminal liability, and imperils national security. Bolton was wrong. That's what the judge 5 years ago stated pertaining to Bolton's potentially classified writing, or summarizing. What he did was likely summarize classified data, okay, and then email the classified data, almost certainly. So he possibly summarized the classified data and then potentially emailed that classified data to people, and of course those emails were intercepted. Hit subscribe. Almost certainly he's going to be indicted. The indictment's basically already written by the first judge 5 years ago, who didn't issue an injunction, allowed the publication to take place because the books had already been printed apparently, but stated categorically that Bolton harmed national security, faces prosecution, and he might possibly, that the royalties might possibly go to the U.S. government now. Hit subscribe to this channel. This is huge. This is huge.
Well, most importantly, they need a warrant. So that judge had to look at whether they had a particular list of evidence that they were trying to secure, and probable cause that a crime might have been committed. Now, that might is very important. There are plenty of raids that occur and charges do not occur as a result. But for a high visibility raid of this kind, I would think the administration waited until they had what they felt was a lead pipe cinch of a case for a warrant and a strong case to move forward. We just don't know. This is going to be clearly a warrant seeking documents. And I can tell you, as a criminal defense attorney who's had clients subject to search warrants, documents tend to be particularly burdensome for defendants because they basically hoover up everything in the house that could contain digital or written material. That includes thumb drives and computers, laptops, desktops, phones. All of those things are ordinarily sought that can have any type of digital memory or storage.
And apparently, when he was a top official for President Trump for a momentary time, he was aware of the Steele dossier. He was aware, this is allegedly, Bolton was aware of the Steele dossier, hid it from President Trump, hid the origins or hid the link to Clinton's funding, the DNC's funding, and Comey's use of the dossier to intimidate Trump and to start and help start and create a new Cold War, McCarthy-era Red Scare zeitgeist. And so this raid on Bolton correlates directly to Clapper, Brennan, Hillary Clinton, the DNC. And so what Democrats tried to do is they performed these raids on Trump and Mar-a-Lago and everyone around Trump. But what took place was none of these people actually committed crimes. Bolton allegedly committed a crime, summarizing classified data, which was called out by President Trump 5 years ago when he tried to write the book. All these people write tell-all books about Trump. They think there's a market for them. There really isn't. And he put himself in legal jeopardy because while he was, just like Comey with the Comey memos, a private conversation with the president is classified. Okay, always classified, always classified. And what Bolton tried to do is tell on Trump or, create these stories about how terrible Trump is. But in doing so, being so close to the president for about a year or so and being privy to classified data, he almost certainly had to have summarized the classified data, which was then, of course, as we found out from the Times and others, possibly intercepted by adversarial countries. So just like Clinton's servers with top secret intel on them, almost certainly taken by every adversary, because that's the nature of digital communication. Nothing's ever safe. Bolton summarized information that was classified to sell a book. Now he faces Espionage Act indictments, okay? Because these statutes pertain to the Espionage Act.
And you are given a copy of that warrant, and you're ultimately given an inventory of things that are removed. And what follows that is a long process of inspection. Now, in the case of Bolton, there's going to be very sensitive issues there. One is he's clearly a critic of President Trump. And so there's going to be concerns whether this is retaliatory. But in the same fashion, there's going to be material on his computer that he's going to argue is protected speech, maybe even privileged material. So they might have to create these walls that are put up, have separate teams to minimize any intrusion into privileged or protected areas.
Yeah, Jonathan, I remember when Mar-a-Lago was raided and Melania had said that they even went through her closet, they went through her drawers. It can be very intrusive, but I know when you're the FBI and you're looking for any evidence, you have to look everywhere. He's been accused of using classified information in his book that he wrote in 2020. Do you know what was in that book, what classified information he wasn't supposed to share?
A stick of butter a day?
Yeah, that's what is intriguing here, because these are long-standing allegations that the book indicated or referenced classified material that he may have acquired when he was in the administration. We're not clear as to what that is, but it would suggest that it could be national defense information. The reason that's important is that creates a heightened potential penalty. So you can have penalties that range from 5 to 20 years. 20 years tends to be the sentences for concealing information, obstructing justice. Simply having classified information can weigh in at about 10 years. And there are often multiple counts because each of those documents can be charged separately.
So he faces major legal repercussions. Okay, the damage is done. That's what the judge 5 years ago stated. This has already been litigated to an extent in a court of law. Okay, he has exposed his country to harm. That's what the judge stated. Indictment is almost certainly imminent. hit subscribe right now.